Hey, what's up, guys? This is the RG Star. Actually, I just wanted to take a little time to kind of show a modification I did on what's now been a pretty recognized and kind of old figure, but this is the Batman Dawn of Justice Mafex figure. What's really important here is the mods that I did, which are, that's my dog barking up a storm, so I apologize about that. So anyway, the mobility, the articulation has always been kind of an issue with this particular Batman. And you know, a few figures in general. Articulation is something that's usually really important to me whenever I get a figure that is supposed to be agile, is supposed to be dynamic, and just, you know, should be able to do some awesome poses and amazing types of moves, and then you find out that they can't. So that's always been really frustrating to me. You know, I can't stand you get a figure out of the package, you pose them, can only do a 45-degree angle split, or the shoulders barely come up, you know, mid chest. They don't even do a full 180 degrees from finger to finger, you know, across the shoulders. They can't be put out straight like a T. So that is why I did some work on this guy. And yeah, I'm just gonna share with you what I did. So let's get him a little bit closer. Now, anybody who's ever had this figure, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't have it and have never owned this or had the unique pleasure of messing with it, you can definitely see some other reviews or even pictures. Most people know what he used to be able to do. Okay, so here we go. Take this out of there. The first main mod was his shoulders. So previously, if you remember, you couldn't do this with his shoulders. Okay, they weren't able to even come out that much. Really, they were about like here, something like that. Even with, you know, force and stress, you could only get it maybe about that much if you're lucky. So I did a little mod, and now that's where they go. And some people want to say, well, that's really not that much. I mean, I was expecting him to, you know, appear like some kind of double jointed circus freak now. And although that would be cool, I did want to keep the integrity of the sculpt a little bit. So I'll show you what I did. You can kind of see in there, I just basically took a little Dremel, carved out around, let me get him up close a little bit, carved out around the shoulder joint, and you know, try to do it as nice and as smooth as I could. And that's what it looks like. So now, you know, even in this pose, comes out hell of a lot better that way. You know, rotating it around, he can get all the way back, like doing a back fist to an enemy behind him, you know, kind of one of these, right? But it really helped dramatically. And I think the other arm, you can even raise it a little bit more than this one. I'll show you what I mean. So there's that. You know, of course it has the ball, so you can drop down a little bit. This one now, yeah. So there he is. So you can get out to about that far. And I did the same thing with him. So you can see in there. Get a little bit closer, focus up a bit. Gave him that nice little carving on the outside of the ball joint. So can do all of the things now that a more realistic and more flexible joint with more range of motion will allow. So that, I was really happy about that, just because, you know, trying to get this guy in a punching position before that was such a pain in the ass. I'm just gonna say it. You know, especially if you had something like a really nice hook you wanted to show, or just anything with that shoulder up, you couldn't do it. It was like down here. It looked pretty bad. So now he's got these nice carve outs. Can really come out. Do a lot of coolness like that. Okay, next thing and last thing are the hips. Now, previously, it didn't really have that big a deal, that big a problem or limitation, but I'm a big fan of high kicks, man, of really dynamic kicking poses, or, the whole crouching triple point thing where you kind of have one knee down, hand touching the floor in a really cool way, looking up, looking forward, kind of a thing. And anything low center of gravity pose with this guy was hard to do, or just you weren't able to do it. So here's what I did there. You can still see the outline of where his original form was pretty close to what it was. You can still see what it looked like, but I went and carved it even more. So now with the drop down, you can do stuff like this. You see that? Let me back up a little bit. Sorry about that. Get in there. So now you can really be much more dynamic in his posing. Oops, and my wrist just came off here, so sorry about that. So I can pop that back on. They say all the bad things that could happen on camera, and they're pretty much right. All right, well, I'm not gonna mess with that for now, so I can't get it back on. Common problem with the small wrist pegs, but they just pop back in. So now you can do stuff like that. And to me, that is super important for my highly agile figures. And you couldn't do this before. So all it was, people say, well, I don't really want a lot of the guts showing on my figures, or, the carving is a little too much. Well, that's totally cool, but that's you. That's up to you. I need my figures to be posable, to be agile, especially, like I said, when they're supposed to be. I hate it when they're not. And since I started messing with figure mods and stuff like that, I realized I could do it. And I think it came out really good. Most people would say, well, it's too much out of the crotch area. You can see the guts in it. Well, those disappear. Those disappear on posing. Like I said, if you're doing ACBA type of stuff, or like what I do, I just have stuff on the shelf. They're all out of the box. They're posed. I change them every couple of days just to, have the art there, man. Just to kind of look at and admire your heroes, your icons up there, doing their thing, And you want them to be able to amaze you. It's not a good pose if you're not amazed and pleased with it, but just by looking at it. If you kind of have to make guesses in your mind, or just you're sort of settling as to what you think they're doing, it's not exciting or it's not dynamic enough, it's not a good pose. And if you can't even do it because of the limitation of the figure, also that, to me, I just can't stand that. So that's what I did. Did a little carving, made them hyper flexible on the hips. The shoulders I don't think are too bad. It still kept a lot of the integrity, like I said, of the sculpt. I didn't want to go that far, but still allows them to do a lot more than he did. And yeah, so I wanted to share with you guys. There it is. Get my lighting back. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it inspires a few people to kind of tinker around. Now, of course, you got to do it at your own risk. These are higher end figures, and they do cost a little bit more than your average Marvel Legends. I'll just use that because that's a pretty common price point, you know, a little more than your $20 figure. And you got to know what you're doing a little bit. I'm not the most experienced person in the world, but I learned a thing or two, and I think it's paid off. I'm pretty happy with it. And like I said, it's just really all for your own enjoyment, your own amusement. If you think you can do it, go for it. Start small on a cheaper figure that you don't mind ruining, because you will ruin a few of them, but you gotta get that practice out if that's what you want to do. So yes, again, that's that, and I hope you guys like this. You know, if you learned something, if you like it, you know how things work these days. You like, you share, you do the notification, which is all good. But at the end of the day, even if you just mentally liked it and didn't get around to the other things, that's cool too. All right, guys. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Catch you next time.